we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Commission of the City of Calabasas, May 15th, 2025 meeting. This meeting is called to order. Commissioner Steiner, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you. Okay, we have a full complement of commissioners tonight and our city attorney representative and staff. So let's move on to approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. Announcements and introductions. Let's start. Nope. Commissioner Washburn. Nope. 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 Okay. Moving on. Public comment. This is the portion of the meeting for those who wish to address the commission on matters that are not on the agenda. I don't see anyone in the audience that is not here for an agendized. Do we have any cards? Nothing? Okay. Moving on to the consent calendar. On the consent calendar tonight, we have the minutes of the meeting of May 1st, 2025, as well as file number DPR 2019001, PL 1900492, PL 1901497, and PL 1901494, and that is a recommendation for adopting Resolution 2025-808 for the project located at 23408 Valdez Road, consistent with the Planning Commission direction of May 1st, 2025. Just as a reminder, adoption of this resolution is, I believe, a recommendation to council that the project be approved. So those are the two matters on the consent calendar. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the consent calendar, but I have a comment before we vote.
Actually, I have a problem with the minutes. The minutes need to be corrected.
Okay.
So,
It's probably the same thing.
oh.
Then let's, this is on the minutes?
I'm just
This is on the minutes?
recommending that we vote to approve the consent agenda, but with a comment before we vote.
Well, there is a correction from
Then
Commissioner Harrison, so
not-
let's move.
Let's not second the motion, and let's hear what Michael's
Well,
comment is.
let's, if there is discussion on the minutes, let's remove it from the consent calendar.
Oh, okay.
Is there going to be any discussion on item number 2 on the consent calendar? Nope. Okay, is there a motion regarding the remaining consent calendar, which no longer includes the meeting minutes?
Now, were we talking about item 2 in the consent?
Just item 2, yes, just item 2 on the consent calendar. Or is that the one that you want to
I
discuss?
may be misreading it, but I don't see the actual listing of the site that we're approving, just the numbers.
23408 Valdez Road.
Where am I missing that?
Item number 2, it's underneath the bold recommendation, adopt resolution 2025-808 located at.
I must be looking at the wrong page. That's fine.
Okay, so do we have the remaining item on the consent calendar? We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent calendar is approved. Now let's address the meeting minutes from May 1st, which has been removed from the consent calendar. Discussion about it?
If I may, it's just
Sure.
correcting who the applicant and the owner are and the name of.
Michael,
and
is
the
your
speaker.
microphone on?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Is it better?
Yes. Yeah.
It's the same topic, the house on Valdez Road, but it says in the minutes that the speaker is Laura Hanson, S-E-N, and I think it's S-O-N, applicant owner, and she's not the owner. The owners were here. It was a couple with the last name Ochoa, and I gave the deed to the city attorney, but it's their trust, but they're the owners, not the architect.
Okay.
Or she's the designer, actually. And she may be the applicant, but she's not the owner.
She is, that's correct for both
Okay.
points.
Okay.
So you've got the correction? Yes?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of, I'm sorry, May
1.
1st? The meeting of May 1st, 2025, with the correction.
So
Yes.
move.
Seconded, good catch.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The minutes are approved as revised. Okay. Moving on. Item number 3, we have continued business, and this is file number SPR, file numbers SPR 2023-004, OTP 2023-006, LTM 2024-002, SCP 2023-002, SGNP 2023-001, and SGN 2023-030. The recommendation is to adopt Resolution 2025-809, located at 24460 Calabasas Road, consistent with the Planning Commission direction from the May 1st, 2025 meeting. And again, a reminder, if we adopt this resolution, it is a recommendation of approval to council. Do we have any discussion?
I wanted to make some comments to be more specific, what I said last week, but
Okay.
that's not to say there's anything wrong with what's in the papers here. But the last paragraph of the site plan review section, finding 2 regarding the traffic, as I mentioned, I believe this project will negatively impact traffic. I'm hopeful that they can meet with the BMW dealer and work this out and perhaps specify hours for dropping off vehicles for each dealership so it doesn't overlap. And I'm really concerned about that driveway because it's so small. It has an exit and entrance in one driveway, and there's only one lane each way, and I'm concerned about exiting to the left. I think it should be exiting only to the right going east. And on finding 4, I don't believe the design is really compatible due to the sharp angle facing west, which could be easily fixed with, as I said, either cutting it off, truncating it, rounding it, concave, convex, or some design feature to make it more attractive. Because when you're driving from the west looking, you're going to see this point of a building, which is not attractive. And I'm not sure the size of this site is really big enough for this project, or the usable part of this site is big enough, because, as I mentioned, the driveway has one way in and one way out on one driveway. It's just not large enough for this kind of dealership. In the scenic, that's finding 5. In the scenic corridor section, paragraph 2 states that the architecture includes articulation, but I don't recall seeing any articulation in the front where it matters most. And again, I think that you could have some articulation if you did something with that corner that juts out to the west. And I also question the statement that the colors are compatible with the other dealerships. I don't agree with that either. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to mention those things.
Okay, thank you.
And I
I-
have a statement.
Absolutely.
I just want to, excuse me, reemphasize that this project is materially at variance with the circulation element of the general plan. Materially. It is disappointing that that was not brought up to the commission, but we have a commissioner who was on the council when that general plan was planned, so he should be familiar with it. Further, the holistic recommendation is terrible. We should tell council where we felt this project was at miss, not tell them go watch a meeting for 4 hours and discuss it. It's an insult to them to do that. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Washburn.
Well, I have several things that I want to bring up, and not because it affects my vote, because I expect to, approve or vote to approve sending this on with an affirmative recommendation to the city council. But there are a number of issues that I raised at the meeting that are out of the scope of what we're dealing with here, because, we are required to deal with the parcel and the impacts of the parcel on the next door neighbors and whatever else. But there are so many issues that the city yet faces. And there are some opportunities, in fact, to get some money to help fix the stuff so that it isn't on any one dealership or any of, or all of them, because there's money in Measure W to deal with runoff water. And are we getting our fair share out of LA County, as an example? It's not pertinent to the approval or disapproval of this measure, but that's what we have to consider as a city for what we want, not just encouraging the approval of the dealership. And it isn't something that the commission can deal with, but it is something that our advisory, because the report was very well done, thank you very much, but it doesn't deal with a number of issues that have troubled me about the treatment of Calabasas Road, and it's not the dealership's impact. However, they are impacted by some of the issues that I'm thinking about. An example, when the project of Calabasas Road and the auto dealer overlay zone was done, we raised specific issues such as providing for the possibility of a trail or preservation of the space behind the dealerships, because most of the dealerships had property that is in public ownership, essentially, between the back of the dealership property and the top of the ridge where Vista Point and West Ridge are. And, we catered to those folks, in fact, with lighting issues and with wildlife protection issues and so forth. And it's not the burden of the car dealerships. It's the burden of the community to make sure that the consistency of our general plan thinking should be considered. I think that our discussion at the last meeting covers most of what I have in mind, but I wanted to make sure that even though we don't need to build it into conditions and findings and terms and whatever, it's that we are looking for the collaboration with anybody who's owning property on Calabasas Road from Parkway Calabasas all the way down to the De Anza Trail. That's what the Conservancy has called it at the end of Calabasas Road. So it isn't the burden of this dealership. It isn't the burden of even this discussion, but it is the burden of all of us who care about what happens to Calabasas in the next 20 years, for which we are happy to have these folks here because they help generate revenue to deal with some of the issues we're going to be facing. So we're kind of shortchanged by the law and by the scope that we have as commissioners, and the staff advice as well, because we can't anticipate the things that are going to happen in the future. We can only deal with what's the law. But there's no reason not to make sure that the council members understand that we're thinking, way beyond just whether there's a cutout to put the trucks that are going to load and offload vehicles in front of the dealership, which is a great solution. There will be a space, and they're going to improve the sidewalk, where there is none now, et cetera. But ultimately, you know, if all the dealers are as successful as we hope, there's going to be a lot of delivery vehicles. And there's also a lot of places that we have to park cars, and it shouldn't be just one dealerships or the dealerships altogether problem. It should be the community's problem for car storage, delivery, and sales, and service, and everything else. Again, it's not in our purview to lay that down, but I wanted to get it on the digital record here that it is a concern to several of us, and I actually agreed with my colleagues that I voted in favor of sending this on to the council and asking for the report. But based upon the fact that I knew that Michael and his staff would make sure that it was well done and well recorded, to your point, you don't expect 4 hours of television or computer viewing to be done by all 5 council members.
I don't expect it to be done by any council
Well,
member. That's why I think
no,
it's a
some are,
joke to recommend.
listen, some are very perspicacious, and that's the whole point. So, is there a way, I guess, within the purview of our commission, Michael and our attorney, that we can, without having to hold anything open, if we vote to send this on to the council, it will be approved. And we need the revenue, we like the company, we think the staff has done a fabulous job in planning with the developer, but as things arise, I'll give an example. If we want to see if there's money available in Measure R and Measure M from the MTA to help us fix Calabasas Road, it is of benefit to the dealerships, plural, and this one in particular, because they're under scrutiny right now, for us to say, hey, if we can figure out how to find some money, would you be a partner in making this work even better for all of us? And that's I guess, friendly negotiations that you don't put in writing. You just ask for a collaborative spirit of Calabasas in order to make it happen. I'll shut up so that I can at least see if there's an answer to leaving the issues open to the point where we can all be creative together, as opposed to just saying, hey, it's done, and forget about the lobata tree that might be possibly replacing the coast live oak, because there's no reason we can't have a Quercus lobata. But right now, we just said it's okay to take number 45 or 43 out. And, we have provisions in here to replace according to our laws and everything else. But, the dealer could say, hey, how about we just put a tree in? Because 5 months out of the year, that lobata tree is deciduous. It loses its leaves. You got more visibility on the cars and the dealership. So those kinds of things can come out of discussions like we're having, even though these are more like general plan types discussions. But this will be well underway when we actually come to deal with our general plan and then deal with some of the things I'm raising right now. So that's one of the issues, and I would be happy to see if we can't get some money out of Measure W, which is stormwater protection, because there's literally more than $1 billion in LA County hands right now, and they're trying to find ways that they can help all the cities in LA County deal with watershed runoff and pollution control. Well, it could be that the city and one or several dealerships say, look, give us some money. We'll make sure that we take care of that runoff water so that the LA River isn't polluted. If you don't know, all of our water that runs off here goes to Long Beach down the LA River. Who knows that? So I'll shut up. But those kinds of things, I think, are worthy to discuss while we're saying, council, consider the long-term effects of being a collaborative group and looking at what the city wants and needs in addition to what the developer is entitled to under the law.
So how do we
Thank you.
get your comments, though, in the record? Or-
Well,
That's why I've been blabbing, I'm
that's,
sorry. but-
it's now in the record.
Oh,
But
but not-
and look, admirable thoughts, admirable ideas. not really, as you pointed out, within the purview of what we're doing here tonight. A suggestion, talk to members of council. It's in the record,
I do.
but, I know you do. It's in the record, but that, to me, with issues such as this,
Yeah.
which are not before us and not within our power to bring to fruition, talk to council. Try to get them, moving towards these ideas and planning for how they can be implemented. But we should get back to the matter at
Well,
hand.
I'll make a motion.
Wait, before we go, I have a question for the chair and for the city attorney. If something is brought up which is incorrect, why is it not in our purview to refute it? I don't understand that.
When you say when something is brought up that is not correct, what Commissioner Washburn has been talking about are very definite concerns within the
I was
city.
talking about
but-
what I was talking about,
Okay,
With the circulation element?
the circulation element.
well,
It was brought up by staff and by people who testified on their behalf, including the Public Works
Okay.
person. But we can't discuss it because it's not in our purview.
well, it was discussed.
I think you
It
can
was
make
just,
comments.
it was discussed, and you can certainly make comments. Nobody has been prevented from making comments, but at the end of the day, we come to a vote.
Right.
And the vote was to move this,
Oh, I know
move
we
this
voted,
forward.
But we were shut down with the argument, it's not in our purview.
Well, I think the traffic is something for us to consider, and
Well, it's-
I've made comments, you can make comments.
Yeah, absolutely. There were comments made about the traffic by, I believe, during the public hearing and by a couple of commissioners, including Commissioner Harrison and I believe yourself.
Yes.
I would also like to point out for the record that there was a decent amount of evidence submitted into the record by staff as well as the city's consultants, traffic engineer, and our environmental consultants that looked at the traffic generated by this project and determined in those reports that it's consistent with the city's circulation element and consistent with CEQA under the law. So there is documentation within the actual within the staff report and within the information submitted to the commission. So while the question may have been raised and discussed at the last meeting, that's exactly what happened, and this is just where we're at now.
Okay,
May I
So-
add to that in that case?
sure.
I brought up in the last meeting that Topanga Canyon Boulevard and PCH are shut down for at least 6 months, probably 2 years. And it's pertinent in that the circulation element was done long before there was any problem on the coast and long before the highway was shut down. And at this point, if you just observe what's going on, if we build into the issue that is upon us without at least understanding that we're going to have to do something about it in Calabasas, then that's not putting the record in the right place at this point.
But
If you-
I'm wondering, because I just saw something, and if I'm the only one who saw it, okay.
Well,
I don't know if
normally-
anybody else saw this, that they are preparing to reopen Topanga Canyon.
I saw that.
Like you saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fairly imminent.
I
This is
understand.
not, yeah, this is not closed down for years to come.
It may be. That's the thing, is that,
Yeah.
and I have insider knowledge on some of that stuff, but
Okay.
that doesn't matter. The idea is that we need to be flexible as a community in dealing with the traffic impacts that are being imposed on us by a whole bunch of circumstances. And we can't ask this dealership to do that, but we can help the dealership and they can help us deal with a larger section of our community in dealing with that. That's all I'm asking for, the mechanism by which we can do that, and I think I just did it by putting it in the record.
And may I also suggest to address Commissioner Washburn, and I'm hoping the city attorney can fill in if necessary. Right now, what the staff report that was presented to the Planning Commission with the attached resolution includes that the commission make a motion for two things. One, recommending approval or adoption of the mitigated negative declaration, and two, recommending approval of the project, listing all of the project numbers, and then comma, with the strong recommendation that council review the recording. We could potentially add a third portion to that motion, which is that the commission requests that the council consider and then following the rest of the sentence, consider that the council take a holistic view of the development of West Calabasas Road Master Plan area to ensure necessary transportation and other infrastructures in place to accommodate commercial development and support the continued success of auto dealerships within that zone. So that addresses your bigger concern of just holistically. So it's independent of this project, but the motion includes that recommendation that the council look past just this project.
Well,
Is there any way to break those down?
I don't think it's necessary, Michael, personally. I mean, if there's a spirit of collaboration to deal with the unknown, which we can't do by law, but we can do by community spirit, that's where we're kind of limited here.
No, I understand,
And
but
the
I just.
council is not. The council can
I
do
ju- I
whatever
just
the heck
meant
it wants,
if we have three actions, can we say, can we vote on adopt the MND? Can we vote on recommending approval and then also vote separately on your request that the council consider, to look at the holistic view and the Calabasas
Well,
Road
that would be
Master
part
Plan?
of the, I mean,
As
that would be
opposed to all
part of what
together.
we, well, but that would be part of,
But see, I'm going to vote
oh,
no.
you want to vote, but you would vote yes on that third
Right.
item.
Right.
Michael, the flow in my recommendation, though, is that it's not a recommendation to deal specifically with the approval of the findings and the requirements that we're putting on here, that we're asking them to indemnify us from any mistakes that they or we might even make. And nobody wants to make mistakes, and we don't have the time or language to codify that here in this, in this resolution and the report that backs it up. I mean, that's why I would move it, but I wanted to get my licks in to say that this is a unique opportunity and it's a unique problem for us as a commission and the city to face. And it shouldn't be a burden on Kia or the people who are going to build it. It should be a collaboration of all of us making it better. I think Michael's language is right on the money.
Yeah, I like that. But before I ask for a motion, though, and do keep that additional provision in mind when it's time for the motion, do you have any comments, Commissioner Lozana? No? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Do you have any comments?
Oh, we were bouncing back and forth, so my apologies if I missed.
It's like pickleball,
Yep.
and don't bring a knee. But I'll move that we recommend or approve the resolution 225-809. I think that's the right one. Right, Michael?
Correct, yes. You could recommend
Because
approving the resolution.
The resolution is to recommend approval by us and you to the city council. So that's my motion.
With the additional language that Michael suggested? Or without it?
Well, if it's legit to do it, I'll ask our attorney and Michael. Then-
You could add it to your motion, or you could have a separate motion just to make that separate recommendation.
And that, why don't we do that?
Okay.
That way Commissioner Harrison can address the one, yeah, okay. So you're making the motion without it, and then we'll separately deal with that language? You okay
would
with
be
that?
helpful, I think.
Okay, is there a second?
Sure.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, wait, we're going to do a, do we need a roll call here?
We should do a roll call,
Right.
just because it's a closer vote. so.
Okay. Commissioner Leah?
Nay.
Commissioner Washburn?
Aye.
Commissioner Lozana? I am an aye.
No.
Commissioner, okay, thank you. The motion passes 3-2. So this will go on with a recommendation to council to approve. Is there a further motion with regard to the language
I would just
suggested?
appreciate it if, Michael, if you'd read what you have drafted at this point.
Yes, the motion would be that the commission recommends that the council take a holistic view of development within the West Calabasas Road Master Plan area to ensure necessary transportation and other infrastructures in place to accommodate new commercial development and to support the continued success of the auto dealerships within the commercial auto retail overlay zone.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll move that, but I would actually like to find out if Commissioner Leah's concern is within the language of that, because if you're dealing with an old general plan circulation element, but a new recommendation to treat Calabasas Road for the dealerships and the community, it at least alleviates the concern you have as to that segment of the community, being out of whack with the circulation element. I know that it's not accurate or it's not exact, but it's close enough to actually help you vote in favor of such a motion.
If it was a hand grenade.
Oh, you need a hand grenade?
Okay.
I think, could we mention that they look closely at the circulation element? I could live with that instead
Okay.
of transportation, the circulation element of the general plan, because I said there are material discrepancies.
You comfortable adding some kind of language in addition to the transportation concerns?
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're addressing the same thing, though. You're talking about that what they look at holistically is consistent with the circulation element, or are you concerned that
They
the
look at
circulation element needs to be
circulation element
relooked at?
To see if it was adhered to, or how badly it was not adhered to.
So consistent is the answer to
I
your
think
question.
consistent, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
consistent.
All right, do we have a motion?
Dennis made one, and I'll second it.
Okay, you made a motion.
I did.
I missed it.
With the language,
Okay.
Michael, and in fact, and the modification that I
With
think
the
he'll be able to
Consistent with, yeah,
massage in order to help at least
yeah,
And this
know
is
that
just a
we're going to make
recommendation.
sure we're
this is just a
cognizant of what the circulation element is telling us that we should be doing in the future.
Yep,
But it's not to hold the development up.
all right. We have a motion. Is everybody's clear on the motion? We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes
Thanks.
to add that language. And to be clear, this is not a condition being placed on this project.
Another whole thing.
It's not a recommendation that a condition be added to this project. It is a recommendation as to looking at these issue
Right.
in a holistic manner and, okay?
And putting the conversation on the record.
Yep. Well, it's not only put on, the conversation is not only put on the record
It's
with
not
this motion.
actionable.
Well, it's not actionable, but this particular motion that we just passed puts it very much front and center
I think
in
so.
front of council.
And it
So,
helps.
Okay,
And we, just to compliment staff, they don't just look at the old data. They're saying, what is the old data telling us? And what are the principles that were being followed when the ordinances were passed, or the general plan was actually passed, and the circulation element? And I guarantee you that they're very cognizant and they're doing something about it. So it's, good work on the part of the staff getting us to this
Yes.
point. Thank you.
absolutely. All right, we are on to the director's report.
The only thing I have to report is our next meeting is June 5th. At that meeting, we will be looking at the capital improvement project list for the next fiscal year. And following that meeting will be the budget adoption by council on June 11th. So that's why we need to return on the 5th to go over the CIP list.
All right, thank you. Do we have any reports from members of the Planning Commission? Commissioner Steiner? Commissioner Harrison? Zena?
I'll pass. I
Motion
already
for-
talked
thank
too
you.
much anyway.
Commissioner Leah? All right, and I have nothing. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.